boy. Second day in Tianjin, honey, and I won't actually put it where I'm sick of this place, but I have been developing a bit of a cough from being here. Or maybe it was just being out on the road. I don't know. In any event, today is the turnaround day. I leave with one card and I come back using another. This is the end of the third segment. And I never did get the chance to write you about the House of Babel that this place has been this last particular leg. But we'll see what it's like this time around. In any event, I have done no research and I have no idea what to expect today. So we're gonna find out as we go along. Keep an eye on me, honey, and wish me luck. I'm gonna need it. So where on earth do I begin with this? I mean, I can start off by saying we're finally in downtown Tianjin after an hour and a half drive from the port. You'd think that a port city would be built nearer the port. But at any rate, I understand this whole complex, and it covers an entire city block, it looks like. Happens to be the mansion of a family named Chen. But I don't have all the facts in front of me at the moment, and hopefully I will get a few more as time wears on. We do seem to have some interesting floats and other designs here, presumably from Lunar New Year, but that was a couple of months ago, so I'm not sure what the deal is. Our guide is just walking us by these places without context, so presumably she doesn't seem to think they're terribly important, which is very strange considering how much there is here, and to lack context seems, well, unfortunate to say the least. There is a lot to see here, and I don't have the first inkling of what it all is. Hopefully she'll be able to clear this up as we go along, but at the moment we're just following her in order to presumably enter the compound, although we clearly got a lot of it to go yet. I think I've gotten the name of the family wrong. It's the SHI family. They were merchants, basically made their fortune in transporting grain for the emperor and got very rich on it. They would be like the equivalent of the Maersk family today or something like that. This jade cabbage at the entrance is here because of a pun on the name, because cabbage, or at least the Chinese word for it, sounds like the term for harmony to all. They wanted to wish good fortune on succeeding generations of their family. The emphasis on generations has to do with the Confucianist belief in both filial piety and in wishing well to one's offspring, because if your offspring are doing well, they will take good care of you, which honestly seems more than reasonable. They also have the guardian creatures here, with the female tending to her child, and the male with his paw on a sphere representing the world. Basically, the woman controls the family, the man controls the world. But if you have control of the family, aren't you basically in control of the world? Just a thought. The compound was built in 1875 and somehow survived the Cultural Revolution. One would think that it would be part of old money or old thought or any one of the number 4 olds, but certain things, I guess, would be considered worthy even in this age. The great Buddha, Shi, the final empress of the Qing dynasty, was a great supporter of the Beijing opera, or the Peking opera at that time. And in keeping with that, and basically being a trend of the time, the Xi family also had a theater in their own house, or rather their own compound. It has high ceilings so that it stays cool during the summer, but also the tiles are heated through pipeline so it stays warm in the winter. And with the vault style ceiling, it also amplifies people's voices, so there's no need for microphones, despite the fact that the theater goes back quite a ways, as you can see.
And what does that mean? What does it say? Good fortune. Good fortune. Good luck. I had a
You can see the intricate designs on the wood. Even the chairs have a little bit of a design. There are a lot of chairs in here. It's quite a large family, honestly. I've been seeing this character throughout the compound. It is the syllable fu, and it means blessing or happiness. And apparently it's a fairly common one, and will be sometimes displayed both right side up and upside down, which basically means good fortune will come. As a former accountant myself, this should be someplace I feel at home in. But honestly, as long as it's missing a computer, yeah, I'm not really quite sure about that. This is the family counting room where they keep track of their finances, and given that this is a family business, they have a lot in the way of finances. I finally had it explained to me about these thresholds. I've been told that it's more to keep the evil spirits out of the house. What would happen is evil spirits apparently can't bend their knees, and as a result would trip and face plant over them. It's not a case where I need to learn how to bow in order to walk in, but rather that the evil would be kept out by default. It's been pointed out to me that for the most part, there has been very little color in the place. Some of the wood is red in tint, but most of the bricks are gray of one sort or another, which is sort of deliberate. These folks are the merchant class. They're not royalty, they're commoners. And as such, they can't use colors like yellow, which are the emperor's colors. Now, this, I think, is a relatively recent sign, so it doesn't actually qualify as theirs. They have quite the display and quite the explanation of Chinese wedding customs from the 19th century and previously, I would imagine. And it's quite the pageant, to be honest. And this for a couple who has never seen each other before, which is kind of scary, to be honest with you. But again, Western customs versus Eastern ones, there's always going to be a disconnect between the two, I'm sure. There are some more modern displays here as well, including one of the first anti-corruption trials held in China, which apparently was here. Either way, I'm a little confused by that, but both in terms of whether they could hold it here and what it really was as opposed to an anti-corruption trial. It might just as easily have been a show trial, depending on where it was and for whom and by whom. Turns out the SHI family compound is just a small fraction of the Yangliuqing ancient village, which we're visiting right now. Passing by now, I should say, as we don't really have the time for anything more than that. I hate to say it, but it does feel like we're rushing through this area, not really getting a good chance to see everything and understand what it's all about, but I guess it can't be helped. It took an hour and a half to get here. It'll take an hour and a half to get back. It's gonna be like that. We've got to cut things short and fast. Seems a bit of a pity, but that's how things go. Still, as the SHI family is wishing to itself and everyone who comes here, happiness and blessing to all.